Okay, so hi guys. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak about degree apprenticeships today. The things that we're going to kind of cover is just give a bit of a background about us, where we were, and in terms of where we are now with our degree apprenticeships. Give you guys a couple tips for applying, and also cover like the truth about degree apprenticeships, what we've experienced and what we've found, and to finish off with some online resources that you guys can use, whether you're preparing for UCAS or any degree apprenticeship scheme as a whole. So I'll give it back to Wes.
So to kick off, I'm going to kind of do a bit of background about myself, get to know me a bit more. So I literally left college this summer. So I was here 2018, 2020, doing, as you can see, business, maths, physics, and I did the Welsh back alongside that as well. So AS year, kind of standard, pretty average, go do your exams at the end of the year, throughout the year, just do casual college stuff. Second year, kind of COVID-19 hit, which was quite a massive shake-up, really, because obviously exams got cancelled. All my subjects were exam-based besides the Welsh back. So it was kind of like really interesting trying to navigate that and trying to just kind of just see what my grades and how I was going to end up with my A-levels like in the summer, because it's so hard to say, oh, but I know I did this last year, but then how have I been performing so far? How I've been performing in like mock exams and things like that. It was quite a nervous time for me, but I guess like I say that's quite nervous for everyone. And then trying to apply to degree apprenticeships and go through with like what we all wanted to do in our progression, that was also quite difficult, because obviously everything you see online was kind of, this gets cancelled because of COVID, this gets cancelled because of COVID. And I had some friends who wanted to go to uni open days, they all got cancelled, everything was all online. So it was quite an interesting experience. But for me, it wasn't more uni, it was more so apprenticeship. So I didn't apply to the UCAS at all, which was quite, I'd say maybe a bold move. But for me, I knew from the start that I wanted to do an apprenticeship, and I was quite firm in that. So I was kind of applying. I'll talk a bit more about how I went about applying in the application process in a bit, but it was kind of just throughout the year, having to apply and kind of get ready for interviews and stuff like that throughout. So now, where I am now. So right now, I'm working at GoCompare in the information security team. I started not too long ago, actually. It's been a few months now, and I'm in the InfoSec team, and my uni is USW. So my work schedule is kind of 3 days I'm in work. I'll be full-time those days, doing everything with my team. And then 2 days I'll be studying at home. So the way my degree is kind of structured is that most of my course is distance learned. So they'll upload content on a Monday. They'll say, oh, hey, this is here. Do this workshop, do this tutorial, email it back to us or post it on Blackboard. And then that's kind of it. And then every few weeks now, we meet with our lecturer and we kind of have kind of just like a chat, a conversation, just a little informal session really, to go through question and answer anything that we were struggling with, but also just to kind of get to know the rest of people on our course. And with me, my course is quite small. So there's only actually, I think, 4 or 5 of us in each workshop. So it's quite nice because we have quite a small class size and I kind of get the most from my lecturer. Because obviously if you're in a massive university lecture, you have like 90, 100 people just sitting there, and you kind of don't get that same conversation that you might in a smaller group. So for me, that means like if I have a question, I can literally just ask it straight away. Like I don't have to be, oh, I'll email you after, because it's so chill, so kind of like laid back in a way, maybe because it's so small, but also that's just how my uni degree is structured. And so in work, in my InfoSec team, a lot of it is kind of to do with security, management of stuff. We need to be on top of like laws and things. So for me, when I'm doing my uni work, a lot of it starts off doing, oh, so we're going to talk about this, say password security, and we're going to talk about maybe like GDPR law or stuff like that. And that's what's been the past few weeks. And then I'll come into work and then I'll be able to see, oh my gosh, I learned about this in uni and I'm actually having to do some research about it for work. So that's really cool for me to see like everything I'm learning is literally being applied in real time. That's one of like the main things that I realized about my apprenticeship, because it's so like the thing about apprenticeships as a whole is you get the work experience and you got the uni experience. And when you combine those, you don't really think about it at first, but the more and more you're learning in uni and learning in work, they kind of go hand in hand. So like things you learn in work, you may end up studying university a couple of weeks later, and it's just really interesting in that way. And it may be weird for me saying like, oh, I went into the InfoSec doing cybersecurity team, because I didn't actually do computer science. I didn't actually do IT at A-level at GCSE at all. So for me, it was kind of a learning curve. But what I had and what I showed them was I had a passion. Like I really wanted to go into tech. I was really interested in it. I did my research around it. And that's what kind of shone through for me. So that when I joined Go Compare, I was introduced to the Go Further Academy, which is basically Go Compare's support network. So it's nestled within the workplace, and it's a community of degree apprentices, interns, and existing employees there who are now pursuing a degree in work. So for them, they've already had a degree apprenticeship scheme, which is really interesting. So staff who were working there already, say you're in like maybe customer services or something, and they were like, oh, you know what, I want to go for a degree. They could apply to these vacancies and they could go and join a degree apprenticeship program, doing things like software engineering and now cybersecurity. So it's kind of already established. And so what I get from that is I get a mentor, I get a buddy, but also I just got the people around me. Like if I want to ask them questions really quick, I can be like, oh, hey, can I ask you this? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. You know, we can message each other, call each other. It's like, it's kind of nice to be able to build that relationship informally, especially during coronavirus, because everything's at a distance. You're not really in the same place as them. Like I'm literally like probably miles and miles away from most of my colleagues. But it's still nice to feel so close with them, with this support network around us. So like that's kind of like one of the other biggest things that have really like stood out to me doing my degree apprenticeship. But that's enough about me. I think I'll hand over to Aisha now because I've done enough talking.
So in terms of where I was, I had a bit of kind of like an unorthodox path in education. So before I started with St. David's, I'd already completed 2 years of A-levels, which I did sociology, English and drama. And initially my heart was set on doing an English degree. I was going to do full-time, didn't even consider apprenticeships as a thing. But then they came to my sixth form, Network 75, and they talked about the scheme. And one thing I realised, and everyone kind of knows this now, is a degree doesn't guarantee you a job. Experience is always talked about, but it's really hard to get because you usually need experience to even get the experience. And it becomes like a really vicious cycle. So I was really thinking about that, and I was thinking I really want to become someone who's employable. I want to be versatile. I want to have loads of different skills. And so I decided to withdraw my UCAS application, which I'd made in Christmas, just before the January deadline. And then I applied to St. David's to do another 3 A-levels, business, media and art, because I wanted to look at a business degree, which is offered through the Network 75 scheme. But I really also wanted to make sure that in those 2 years, was that the right decision for me? Because I definitely didn't think of myself as someone who could do a degree apprenticeship. You know, going to the working world, it is scary. You don't know what to expect. It is a new learning curve. You've done education for 7, 8, 9 years. You know, it's a long time to start something new. So I really wanted to build up my CV in terms of my work experience. I hadn't had a lot previously. So some of the things that I did in college is I did the enterprise trading places competition, which was really fun. You got to run a pop-up business for 3 days, and that kind of showed me like, oh, maybe I can be in the working world. Maybe I can do some practical application of things that I learned in my business A-level, for example. So yeah, during St. David's, I was kind of exploring my options. Again, I did apply for UCAS, so I did kind of like 2 UCAS applications, 2 personal statements for different things. And that's just because you have an idea of what your target is. Like if you think of success as like a target, right? You want as many arrows as you can to get that bullseye. So for me, that was doing UCAS, that was getting all my work experience doing the 2 years. So it wasn't time wasted. I really worked on myself and made sure that I was focused and grounded and knew what I wanted to do before I did go to uni, because it is a big decision to make. And one of the things I love about degree apprenticeships in terms of where I am now is that you get the benefit of having that degree, but you get the work experience alongside it. And with the Network 75 scheme, it's for 5 years. So you get 5 years of industry experience with a degree and no debt. That's really powerful on your CV and when you're looking elsewhere as well. So in terms of where I am now, so I joined the Network 75 scheme with Monmouthshire Building Society as my host company. So they host me for 3 days. So similar to Awais, really, I work 3 days at Monmouthshire Building Society and then 2 days at university. The difference with Network 75, I would say, as opposed to other degree apprenticeship schemes, is that you're considered kind of like a student first, and your main base is your university. You still have a great support network in work as well. but yeah, so with the 2 days in uni, I'm usually with the full-time students, but doing that degree part-time. So I get to be with a range of different students across the years, and get to pick up 4 modules a year. So it does help you with, in terms of work-life balance. Awais, what do you think like the difference with yours?
So for me, I guess it's kind of same 3 days work, 2 days uni, but my course was designed to be a degree apprenticeship. Like it's kind of a bit more formal, I guess, where the course is literally everyone who I'm working with, they are also doing degree apprenticeships in the same degree as me. And also like I'm considered more of like an employee first. So I'm with Go Compare, and that's where my support network is based. And it's not to say that I don't get support from the uni. Like I have my course leader, I have my lecturers, I have everyone there, which if I need the support, they'll help me. But it's kind of like if I have more of my personal stuff and also just any support that I think that I may need and that they can provide for me, like it's more in the workplace than with the uni that like hers is.
Yeah, and another thing is so I'm studying the business and management degree, which is quite a general skills-based degree. And one thing that I found that I got a lot of value from in doing a degree apprenticeship is the opportunities that I get in my workplace. So in terms of where I was in my first year with the society, my workplace, I was in customer services, so I was in their savings and mortgages team, and I learned a lot in terms of like even knowing how to like fold a letter. You know, I tell people I really didn't know anything going into it. It was my first proper office job, and I was scared, but you know, they kind of told me like, we're not expecting you to be perfect. It is a learning curve, and it's so much better to be learning now when you're younger with the comfort like and the safety net of education around you. They're expecting you to be someone who's coming in to learn, not expecting someone to come in and do the job right first time. In terms of where I am now, I'm currently working for the past year now. I've been working in the change management team, which has been really cool. I've had a lot of great opportunities in terms of like delivering projects. Some of the things have been around technology and improving the amount of how like digitally enabled Monmouthshire Building Society is. One of the projects that I worked on very closely was creating website application forms. And more recently, our team's been selected to work with robotics, which is really interesting. And AI is an up-and-coming technology, and I don't have any background in technology either. I didn't do anything with IT and business and management. Like if I was doing full-time, there was no way I would have had that opportunity. And also getting to explore that, oh, maybe I can do coding and help them automate their processes around like admin tasks. So yeah, it's been really value added for me. And like my brother Awais said, you know, real-time learning, you know, what I'm learning now, like with project management in my module, I've already applied and I'm still applying in my current placement.
So this is kind of a bit more, this more a question thing for both of us. We're going to talk about kind of the truth about being a degree apprentice. So one of the first main things is the money. So for me, when I wanted to do a degree apprenticeship, I didn't want to get into any debt. I knew that I didn't want to have to pay student loans off like the rest of my life or the next like, what is it, like 35 years you're paying a percentage out for. Like I didn't want any of that stress. I didn't want to have to pay back that money. I wanted to be like, when I finish uni, that's me done. And I just could go into the workplace without any baggage. So with the degree apprenticeship, my degree is paid for, you know, I don't have that money stress, I don't have that debt stress. And also like I'm earning a salary as well. So when I get that money in my account, I know that my money is my money and I've earned that. And like I get to keep all of that. I don't have to pay any of that back. Because I know like some of my friends doing standard uni stuff, they've got their maintenance loans coming in and they've got all their money for sure, but that's a loan and they're gonna have to pay that back eventually. And that's another big thing. Like that's just, for me, I just wanted to avoid debt completely. And that's what I love about this is everything's is paid for and I have my money and that's me.
Yeah, and another thing like around the degree is you still get the same options that any full-time student would. So even after you've finished your undergrad, you could still get like grad scheme opportunities to work with other companies. And that's another thing. Degree apprenticeships, like they don't lock you in. So you're not obligated to accept an offer from the company at the end of the 5 or 4 years that you've been working with them. And they're not obligated to give you an offer either. So you can really branch out afterwards with this amazing CV of loads of industry experience related to your degree, a great support support network as well. And again, like the value added opportunities that you wouldn't normally get if you were just a full-time student. I know that you can do like industry placements, but that's usually only for a year. And you really get to grow with a company as well. And they get to see you building your confidence and leading on projects or presentations with like senior management, like getting a chance to speak to like the CEO. Like these are some like really good character building opportunities that you can get whilst you're young, whilst you're willing and still keen to learn.
Yeah, so kind of talking about, I guess, the work life and like the difference between like how you balance that with your uni. In just talking about work for a sec, like for me it was really cool when I walked in. It was kind of like they were quite open. You know, you go in, like you meet everyone, and it's like if you want to speak to the CEO for half an hour, you can just book in a meeting with him and he'll do it. You know, that was really cool for me. I got to speak to the CEO of a few of the brands within the GoCo group, and it's just been an amazing experience as part of that. And I guess that's what kind of you miss if you're doing a full-time degree, because I get to see, like, as I'm learning, like, where I could end up in a few years' time, and if you, like, as I keep progressing throughout my career. And that's what I really like about it. Like, you get to see the destinations rather than just kind of be on the journey of learning to get to your career. And the work-life balance is really cool because you kind of get, like, the best of both worlds. So you've got your uni, you can make friends there, but for me, it's more so like the work socials and the work events. So, like, me and my team, like, we have our socials every now and then. We're literally just playing a game, maybe like Among Us, stay on trend, things like that, you know. Or we'll just be like having a casual conversation for like 10, 20 minutes, half an hour throughout the day, just like every single week. And it's like, it's been a really nice experience to kind of have that. But it's not always easy. So sometimes you can be quite stressed around maybe assignment times where you can have a pretty packed day in work. And, you know, when you get home, you have an assignment sitting there that you need to get done.
But even just leading on that, like the uni usually does like have support. So with like Network 75, like I get 6 days study leave, which I can book around like exams, and work is usually pretty understanding as well.
Yeah, definitely.
They know they want you to prioritize your degree. They obviously want you to do really well because it shows that like, wow, you know, you're able to work with a company and still get a good degree at the same time. And lastly, really, like the education bubble is something that I kind of talk about. So when you're in education, it's very, very theory based. You never get a real chance to practically apply what you're learning. And that can be a real shock. Say like you finish after 3 years of a degree and you're suddenly being expected to do applications, go to interviews, and be expected to work as a full-time employee and know what you're doing. Obviously, they're still going to give you a chance to learn, but that learning curve is going to be really, really steep compared to someone like us, maybe who's had 5 years in industry, kind of like all those stumbling blocks, like just how to write an email, even, you know, you've already covered that in your first job, so you can be ready for wherever you're going to go. And it's not such a shock when the education bubble does burst.
Yeah, and kind of like we're not expected to know everything, like Aisha was saying. Like when I came in, it was kind of like, if you don't know anything, that's okay. I'm not saying that when you finish uni, if you do choose to go to uni and you go into a job, they're not going to be understanding. Like obviously that's not going to be the case, but it's kind of, I feel like they're more understanding, more lenient towards us because they know like we're still learning, we just came out of college. And like the thing is, like, you get that experience of being in the workplace, also having the support and kind of the extra support that you might get from your manager that you might not get if you're working just standard full time.
Yeah. Just to go on to the tips then.
So we're going to go into top tips. So for me, I have 3 top tips for securing a degree apprenticeship. So it's building a killer CV, don't give up, and don't hesitate. So with the CV, for me, it's don't just make it look fancy. Make sure that the things on there are meaningful, you know? So for me, I volunteered with this radio station in the Millennium Center for ever since once I started college. I've been doing that. I still do it now, you know, it's been over 2 years. And that was an amazing experience for me. I did things at their live events. I was part of their launch for the live radio station. I've been writing podcasts, helping edit things, you know. That kind of gave me a lot of experience. I had a part-time job in Primark over the summer and also into the start of my second year, you know. And also like in college, I did the engineering scheme when I was with physics and maths. So, you know, those were all experiences that I could draw from to put on my CV. So I can say like, look, it's not, you don't expect you to have all the skills, but they want to show that you've got some of them and you're willing to build on what you've got, and to show that you are proactive, you are going to go and do things, and you are going to work hard at stuff. And say you don't get as like work experience or volunteering experience, don't discount the Welsh back, because the big thing with the Welsh back was you've got your teamwork modules, and a lot of them can be talked about when they say, oh, how have you worked towards completing a project? How do you work as part of the team? Those are a big question that they do end up asking you. So don't just discredit the Welsh back as something that you may not enjoy, because even though you may not be loving it all the time, it's something that is really key to your CV. Like, it's really important to put that on there and really style that rather than just leave that there. as just a qualification. So don't give up. So have resilience, I guess. So for me, I was applying throughout the entire year. So with the degree apprenticeship, the standard process, it can get quite tiring at times, where like you feel like you're constantly applying and you're not getting anything back. But you just got to keep looking and keep looking online, because the difference between this and maybe a UCAS process or Network 75 process, there's not really strict deadlines. Every single workplace has their own requirements. So with me, go compare. I saw that maybe during the summer, and that's when I applied, and that's when I interviewed, and that's when I had phone interviews, I had video interviews, I had assessment centres, I had further assessments from that. It was quite intense, but once you get through that, then you'll feel relieved, because all you need is one yes, and then all the no's don't matter anymore. No. So even though you'll keep applying and you may feel like you're not getting anywhere, don't let that bother you, because you know that if you keep working hard and keep at it, eventually you will find something for you, and you will find the right thing for you to do. These things are quite competitive as well, so that's one thing to keep in mind. So don't hesitate. So make sure you're applying early and applying on time. So the same way that you may be worrying about the UCAS deadline, I'm not sure if it's passed yet already, but say you wrote your personal statement for the UCAS deadline, things like that. It's kind of, when you see a job advert, apply there and then, because you don't know when they have their window and they close off. Because a lot of them, like you may see the advert like stay on there for 10, 20, 30 days, but they may not have just not pulled it down. Because the big thing in the world of work, kind of, you've got to be quick, and you've got to make sure that when you apply, you have the right words on there and you're saying the right things as well. So as soon as you see that job advert, take the time, read the specification, start building your application form, tailor make your CV. So say they want to know, oh, we want someone with good communication skills. Make sure that you have on there that you have communication skills. You can build them, and also any experiences that you may have. You got to make sure that you're ready to fit their thing rather than they just kind of fit what you want, because it's a two-way street. It's got to work for both parties involved.
And then some tips that I have for applying to the Network 75 scheme. So similar to what Awais was saying, there's no exact deadline. So applications usually open in October and they run throughout the year. So you can apply whenever throughout the year. I kind of advise submitting early. I mean, I submitted mine in March, so it was past the UCAS deadline, because I did apply for UCAS as well. So it gave me time to build up that application form. And then usually what the process is that they'll have a uni interview, and once you pass that, they'll send your application to different businesses, and then you'll get offers and opportunities to have an interview with them as well. So one of the benefits of the Network 75 scheme is that, similar to the UCAS process, it's like a one and done application. So you give the application to the university, and then assuming you pass the uni interview, they send your application to the various businesses. And another benefit from doing Network 75 is it is an option outside the UCAS application form, and there's no fees that you have to give them either when you do submit it to them directly. So in terms of the process, when I did submit in March, I didn't hear from the uni probably back until April, May. Once I passed that, business interviews usually don't happen until way later, so probably July, August. So I wouldn't be worried if you haven't heard from them yet. It does take a while, because businesses usually have to shortlist, and if they're really big companies and they get loads of applications, that can cause a delay as well. In terms of the Network 75 application, on the website for USW for Network 75, they have a really handy guide on what they're expecting you to fill in for the application. And if you're already working on your UCAS personal statement, that's something that you can already use for applications when they're asking for a personal statement. You might have to tailor it slightly again. So one of the things might be why are you interested in the Network 75 scheme? Why are you interested in that degree? Even just about that industry itself. Again, similar to what Awais said, building up your experience. Experience is really important, because degree apprenticeships, they want to be able to see that you can study alongside work as well. So make sure to show yourself off in that statement, show all the things that you've done, whether that be Welsh back, whether that be even a part-time job or any volunteering that you've done alongside. That all adds to it, and they really do like the Welsh back as well, so don't be afraid to talk about that either. In terms of looking for the types of companies that you want to work for, So you have like large companies like where Awais is working, like in Go Compare, and then you kind of have small companies like mine, Monmouthshire Building Society, not that small, but kind of like medium, and they all give you different levels of opportunities, and it depends what you really want. So one way that you can kind of get that, so you're not going in blind to those business interviews, is look at the placement list page on Network 75 to kind of give you an idea of what types of businesses are offering for your degree, and do a little bit of research into it and see like what do you want? Do you want to be a student first with the Network 75 scheme? Would you rather be an employee first? It all depends, and it depends on who you are as a person as well, and how you think you would fit into that type of environment. Again, like I said, it's a two-way street. So in those business interviews, you're not only showing and impressing them about you, but you also want to find out like, would you fit in with them as well? Like you want it to be kind of a partnership, so that you can smash your uni degree and your industry experience as well. And lastly, we just want to talk about some online resources that we use. So one of the things that I used when I was interviews or assessment centres, or even like my application was Barclays Life Skills. It's free to register and sign up to, and they have some really like good videos on like how to practice for interviews, what types of questions they ask, and also giving you like model answers, so you kind of know what to expect. And I did find similar questions when I was in my business interviews, and I was like, okay, thank God I looked at that. Another thing is My Future. This is quite like a relatively like new app that's been created. It's for all ages, and it's just again another opportunity to either look for degree apprenticeships, job opportunities once you graduate, work experience, volunteering. It's really easy. I think it's been called like the Tinder for careers, so you can swipe left or right on opportunities or 2 years that you can have when you're doing those applications for jobs or degree apprenticeships in general, or even your UCAS as well, to be honest.
So one thing I used a lot was YouTube. And like, you may see YouTube as, oh, you may just use it for entertainment, but there's actually a lot of good educational content on there. So like for me, one of the main things was when you're applying to degree apprenticeships, say for example, the big four, you have Deloitte, EY, KPMG, and what's the other one? I can't remember. Well, there's another one, PwC, that's the one. So you're applying to one of their apprenticeships, there's a lot online about them, you know. There's a lot of what questions do they ask, what kind of, how do they structure their interview process, what's their assessment centers like, you know. Or say you're just looking for more general, there's things on interview tips, you know, body language, how you convey yourself, how you can hold a conversation, and how you can talk about your experiences and stuff. Like those are really important things that you need to learn about how to kind of style yourself in an interview especially. So that's what YouTube's really good for.
And one thing that I'd kind of add on to that, and what I've realized, like having worked now for like 2 years, is that the business doesn't always look at your qualifications. It looks at you and your work ethic, and are you enthusiastic? Are you willing to pick up new skills? Like, and that's how I kind of got the opportunity to do robotics. Like, even though I had no qualification in it, but because I showed my work ethic and that I have like those soft skills like communication or teamwork, I was able to join in on that. And they really do want to see you as, can they work with you? Do you fit into their culture? So that would be another thing when you're researching a company, you know, look at their culture, what they stand for. Does it align with your values? And you might find that you'd work really well with them. So that's another thing to consider.
Yeah, and so finally, one website which I use quite often throughout the kind of the job search and also the interview prep was Prospects. So it's a site where you can get, you can use it for like the careers test, which you may use it for in Welshback. I'm not sure if that's still being used, but kind of see kind of where you might fit into industry. But then also like when you're doing your research into degree apprenticeships into certain industries, you may learn that there may be different routes, and one route may be the best way in. So for me, like cybersecurity, apprenticeships and internships, things like that are huge. They're like the best things to get into the industry for those things, you know. Anything that's quite practical, hands-on, you know, it'll tell you, oh, apprenticeships are the best route, or maybe university may be the best route, you know. We're not here to say like apprenticeships are the best things for everything. They all have their specific cases, but there may be like apprenticeships may be the best thing for what you want to study. It depends.
But what I would say to kind of finish off is, don't self-reject. Like, don't already like doubt yourself and your skills. Like, you've put a lot of work in already, like with your A-levels and stuff. Back yourself a bit, you know, like be confident when you're going for these opportunities. Don't self-reject yourself from going on to something that could be really cool. Like I didn't think that if I doubted myself and I didn't do a degree apprenticeship 2 years ago, like I wouldn't be where I am now, you know, which is looking really good. So yeah, don't self-reject, just believe in yourself a little bit and take those opportunities, because when they come knocking on your door, they do go really quick.
Yeah.
So make sure you open that door wide and get that opportunity.
Yeah, just to talk about that really quick. For me, the interview process for Go Compare was quite rapid. So I sent off my application kind of like one random night, and I got a phone call the next day. So, you know, you got to be on it. You got to be kind of ready to take a phone call at any time of the day. I just woke up, so I was kind of just like throwing it, clearing my throat. I'm ready to answer quick interview questions, like a pre-screening thing, you know? Like it just come like rapid fire. Like as soon as you start applying, like you just got to be on it all the time. But don't worry, like if you feel like, oh, I said the wrong thing, I did this wrong, like don't stop yourself from applying. Even if you're not sure if you think that you're the best person, or you may not be like have the right qualifications or experiences for it, just keep going, you know, like you may end up being there and you may love it there.
Yeah. And I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, we'd love to answer them.